Have you ever gazed upon a barren desert and thought, could anything possibly grow here? At first glance, scorching sands and relentless winds seem to spell hopelessness. Yet, there was once a man who dared to believe otherwise, one who planted trees in a place no one believed could ever be green. His story is not just a testament to human determination. It is living proof that every great change begins with a single, humble step. In the teachings of the Buddha, we learn that all things arise from causes and conditions. A seed is small, often overlooked, but given the right environment, it can sprout into a mighty tree that provides shade, shelter, and life to countless beings. Likewise, our seemingly modest efforts can set off ripples of transformation more profound than we dare to imagine. Whether it is the desert in our external world or the desert of doubt in our own mind, every step we take, even if it seems insignificant, carries the potential for renewal. The man who planted trees in the desert did not accomplish his goal overnight. Instead, day by day, sapling by sapling, he nurtured a vision that transcended the immediate, desolate landscape. His journey challenges us to reconsider our own limitations. Are they as fixed as we believe? Or could they yield under the gentle force of consistent, mindful action? In this talk, we will explore the extraordinary power of starting small, guided by the compassionate wisdom of the Buddha. We will see how an unwavering commitment to a single step can reshape our surroundings and our spirit, reminding us that persistence in the face of adversity can lead to outcomes more beautiful than any dream. Let his story stir your heart, spark your imagination, and inspire you to plant seeds of possibility in every corner of your life, no matter how barren it may seem. For it is through these tiny acts, performed with faith and perseverance, that deserts can be transformed into forests, and we ourselves can awaken to a life of purpose and hope. Picture, if you will, a vast expanse of land where scorching sunlight reigns supreme, where gusts of wind carry clouds of sand across an endless horizon, and where the mere thought of greenery seems like a distant dream. Such is the desert, a place that tests the limits of human resolve with its unrelenting heat and seemingly inhospitable terrain. Yet, amid these harsh conditions, there once lived a man who dared to believe in the power of the tiniest seed, a man who decided to plant trees in a land deemed impossible to cultivate. At first glance, his choice appeared almost foolish. No one could fathom why he would waste precious time and energy carrying buckets of water under the punishing sun, day after day, with no guarantee his saplings would ever survive. Neighbors shook their heads. Passers-by dismissed him as a dreamer lost to the desert. But he pressed on, not because he was certain of success, but because he held an unyielding faith that every great transformation begins with a single, humble step. In Buddhism, we often speak of causes and conditions. A seed, when placed in the right environment, has the potential to flourish. This man's daily efforts were the conditions he chose to create. No matter how unforgiving the desert seemed, he wasn't planting seeds merely for himself. He was planting them for the future, a future he believed could break the cycle of barrenness that haunted the region. No single action of his was grand. Yet each small act of planting, watering, and nurturing became a steady drumbeat of hope. Let us delve into his routine. At dawn, before the sun reached its merciless peak, he would fill containers at a distant well, sometimes walking miles just to ensure a handful of saplings would receive the water they needed to endure one more day. When the sky darkened, he would examine each young tree, trimming away withered leaves, checking for signs of pests, and whispering words of encouragement, as though these fragile stems were companions in a shared destiny. Make no mistake, his journey was fraught with discouragement. Some nights, a sandstorm would tear through the field and bury many of his seedlings. Other times, the well would run low, compelling him to ration water. But here, we see the essence of right effort, a principle deeply woven into the Buddha's noble Eightfold Path. Persevering in wholesome actions despite obstacles. The man's perseverance echoed the Buddha's teachings that when our intentions are rooted in compassion and resilience, even the smallest deeds can accumulate into profound change. Gradually, subtle signs of life began to appear. A few saplings clung to existence, their leaves trembling in the desert wind, refusing to surrender. Over the weeks and months, some grew sturdier trunks, while others sprouted clusters of fresh, green foliage. What was once a lifeless stretch of barren ground started to show hints of shade, patches of relief from the unrelenting sun. Year by year, an astonishing transformation took shape. It began with the soft rustle of leaves, then the return of tiny insects and curious birds. A trickle of water from sporadic rainfall began seeping into the now more fertile soil. No longer repelled by scorching sand but embraced by the roots of these young trees, where once only heat and dryness prevailed, a fragile yet beautiful ecosystem started to unfold. Each plant, each insect, and each bird played its role in breathing life back into the land, weaving a tapestry of renewal that confounded every skeptic. This gradual shift might seem miraculous, but the Buddha would remind us that miracles often arise from perseverance in simple truths. As we reflect on this man's steadfast efforts, we realize he was, in fact, practicing mindfulness each day, fully present to the task at hand, unshaken by the vastness of the desert or the uncertainty of his outcome. He tended to the seeds without overanalyzing the distant future, focusing instead on what he could do in each moment. In doing so, he illustrated a core Buddhist lesson. When we release our attachment to instant results and immerse ourselves fully in the process, we align with the natural rhythms of growth and transformation. Eventually, word of this unlikely oasis spread. Locals who once laughed at his futile undertaking now visited in awe, marveling at the green corridor that defied the desert's bleak reputation. Some were inspired to plant their own saplings, realizing that real change is contagious. Hope, it turned out, was not an individual resource but a communal treasure that flourished when shared. And so it was that one man and his tiny seeds became living proof of the Buddha's teaching on the power of small acts. He did not conquer the desert by force. He courted its cooperation through patience and compassion. He did not stand alone in a grand, miraculous gesture. He remained grounded in countless modest gestures, day after day. What does this story call us to remember? That each of us holds seeds of potential, whether in our hearts or in our hands. We need not wait for permission or perfect conditions to plant them. We need only the courage to begin, one small step at a time, trusting that our consistent, mindful efforts can bring forth beauty and transformation even in life's most desolate places. Let us look more deeply at the story of the desert planter and the larger truth it reveals about the power of small steps. When we first hear about a single person carrying water across sun-scorched sand and placing seeds in the ground against all odds, we may wonder why such a modest act could create such a lasting impact. Perhaps it is the apparent mismatch between the scale of his effort and the severity of the desert's conditions that catches our attention. Day after day, he continued to walk with buckets of water, delivering life to tiny saplings in a place most believed hopeless. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that profound change often arises not from one grand event but from many steady, understated actions. Every cause meets its conditions, and every condition paves the way for a new possibility. The desert planter's determination showed us how these seemingly small causes, his consistent watering, his unwavering devotion to the seeds, gradually altered a landscape once defined by barrenness. He may not have been certain that his work would succeed, but he knew that, without trying, the desert would remain unchanged. We live in a world that frequently glorifies dramatic gestures, as though transformation can only occur through monumental efforts. Yet the desert planter's example suggests otherwise. He did not conquer the desert with a single act. Instead, he participated in a quiet, ongoing dance between the soil, the water he carried, and the seeds in his hands. He recognized that the desert was not beyond hope. It was simply waiting for someone to introduce the right conditions for growth. Sometimes, we dismiss our own small steps, believing they cannot possibly matter in the face of life's challenges. Reflect for a moment on how many of us postpone pursuing a cherished goal because we fear it is too large, too distant, or too daunting. The story of the desert planter reminds us that perseverance is rooted in faith not in guaranteed success, but in the undeniable truth that steady effort can shift even what seems immovable. The Buddha spoke of right effort as a gentle but persistent force that stays the course no matter what arises. In this sense, every drop of water the man poured onto the parched ground became a gesture of hope, He honored the hidden potential lying dormant in the earth, just waiting for a moment of nurture. Everything in life is also shaped by interdependence, and this tale illustrates that truth with vivid clarity. The seeds, though tiny, needed the help of the planter's daily labor. In turn, the growing saplings provided shade and relief for the soil, making it more hospitable for new growth and for the birds and insects that later visited. Over time, the relationship between water, earth, plant, and caretaker fostered a miniature ecosystem that continued to expand. An endless interplay of giving and receiving. One modest act did not remain isolated. It rippled out, connecting to another and another until the desert began its surprising metamorphosis. If we explore the notion of impermanence, another cornerstone of Buddhist insight, we see how the desert's appearance of eternal barrenness was ultimately an illusion. Beneath the unyielding surface, there were seeds waiting for their opportunity to sprout. The landscape that had been written off as permanently desolate was actually brimming with potential. By refusing to accept that a situation must remain as it is, we learn to recognize that nothing is entirely fixed. This recognition ignites a sense of possibility and empowers us to offer our own small contributions, even when we are uncertain of the outcome. For many of us, there is a natural inclination to doubt the value of little steps or to believe that only sweeping change can make a difference. Yet stories like that of the desert planter prove that meaningful transformation grows from the compounding of everyday acts. So many seeds in life, our ambitions, our relationships, our personal development require a consistent supply of effort and nurturing before their value becomes evident. In times of frustration, we may question why we persist in watering seeds that show no obvious signs of progress. Still, every act of faith, patience, and kindness is like a drop of water absorbed by the soil, making it steadily more fertile. When we hold back out of fear that our contributions are too small to matter, we risk allowing the deserts of our world and our hearts to remain unchanged. If the desert planter had succumbed to such doubt, there would be no trees, no shadows dancing beneath green leaves, no birds singing in a once silent place. By choosing to act, he elevated a vision of possibility over the impulse to despair. In each of our lives, we too carry a bucket of water. Sometimes that water is a gesture of compassion. Sometimes it is the persistence to master a new skill. And sometimes it is the willingness to reach out when everyone else assumes it would be fruitless. If we learn from the man in the desert, we can see that none of these efforts is wasted. They are all part of a delicate weave of conditions that might spark lasting change even if it appears impossible at first glance. Through small steps infused with genuine care, we align ourselves with the principle that life is full of hidden potential, waiting for the right moment to awaken. As we stand at the end of our journey, let us pause and reflect on the simple yet profound lesson woven throughout these pages. No desert is beyond hope if we dare to plant a single seed. The story we have explored is more than a tale of one man's persistence. It is a timeless reminder that great change does not come in a flash of grandeur, but through modest steps taken each day. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are gently guided to honor each moment as an opportunity to sow goodness. Much like the tiny seeds that can one day become a lush forest, when we approach life with steadfast compassion and mindful effort, we begin to see that every action has the power to reshape our surroundings, whether they be physical deserts of sand or the inner deserts of doubt and discouragement. So often, we underestimate our own capacity to transform circumstances, believing that only those with vast resources or extraordinary gifts can make a real impact. Yet the desert planter's story proves that the grandest outcomes can rise from the humblest origins. One person, one seed, one dedicated act of watering and care repeated over time can create conditions that uplift not just a single plot of land, but an entire community. As you look ahead to your own life, consider where you might plant your seeds. Perhaps you wish to grow a new skill or mend a relationship that has felt dry and desolate. Perhaps you dream of improving your health or offering kindness to someone who feels unseen. Whatever your landscape, remember that genuine progress flourishes when nurtured by patience and unwavering faith. In Buddhism, we speak of the middle way, a path that avoids extremes and values steady dedication. By putting one foot in front of the other, by pouring water on the roots of hope, we remain aligned with our highest intentions. We learn to celebrate each small victory, each subtle sprout of green, recognizing that even the smallest shift can set the stage for remarkable transformation. Today, let us heed this invitation to take a single step, plant one seed, and give it the water of our unwavering heart. For in doing so, we honor the desert planter's legacy and, more importantly, awaken our own power to create oases of possibility in every corner of our lives. As we stand at the end of our journey, let us pause and reflect on the simple yet profound lesson woven throughout these pages. No desert is beyond hope if we dare to plant a single seed. The story we have explored is more than a tale of one man's persistence. It is a timeless reminder that great change does not come in a flash of grandeur, but through modest steps taken each day. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are gently guided to honor each moment as an opportunity to sow goodness. Much like the tiny seeds that can one day become a lush forest, when we approach life with steadfast compassion and mindful effort, we begin to see that every action has the power to reshape our surroundings, whether they be physical deserts of sand or the inner deserts of doubt and discouragement. So often, we underestimate our own capacity to transform circumstances, believing that only those with vast resources or extraordinary gifts can make a real impact. Yet the desert planter's story proves that the grandest outcomes can rise from the humblest origins. One person, one seed, one dedicated act of watering and care repeated over time can create conditions that uplift not just a single plot of land, but an entire community. As you look ahead to your own life, consider where you might plant your seeds. Perhaps you wish to grow a new skill or mend a relationship that has felt dry and desolate. Perhaps you dream of improving your health or offering kindness to someone who feels unseen. Whatever your landscape, remember that genuine progress flourishes when nurtured by patience and unwavering faith. In Buddhism, we speak of the middle way, a path that avoids extremes and values steady dedication. Are you feeling inspired and ready to take that next step? If what I've shared resonates with you, I'd be deeply grateful if you'd show your support by liking this video or subscribing to my channel. Your encouragement helps this message reach more people who might need it. But I also value honest feedback. If you feel there's something missing or something that didn't quite land, please leave a comment and let me know how I can improve. Your insight is essential, because real growth happens when we keep learning from one another. Just as a single seed has the power to transform a desert, each like, subscription, or thoughtful comment nurtures our community, giving us the chance to create a ripple of positivity for everyone involved. After all, this journey isn't just about me sharing ideas. It's about you taking them, refining them, and making them your own. So let's build this oasis together, one small step, one honest conversation at a time. So remember, if you enjoyed this, like or subscribe. If you didn't, comment and let me know why. That way, we can continue to grow, learn, and bloom together.